like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan. In 2016, Eddie Griffin said, "If Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa." Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here. In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made famous by some of the world's most famous novels. You think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar? Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house.
Bill Maher has once again turned his sharp humor toward Hollywood's woke celebrities, and the result is nothing short of hilarious. With his trademark wit, the comedian and talk show host is taking aim at stars who love to lecture the public about values and ideals, yet somehow manage to stay miles away from the real consequences of those beliefs. It's been quite some time since Maher decided to roast the Hollywood elite, and that gap makes this moment even more entertaining. Audiences know that when Maher finally speaks out, he doesn't hold back, and this latest round of criticism promises to be one of his most biting takedowns yet.
Confused by this political message. Vote for me because I hate it here. Now, does America have big problems? Yes, I've often cited the America sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot, and we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it.
Bill Maher kicked off the segment with a sharp warning aimed directly at America's celebrities and woke politicians. In his view, they have absolutely no right to stand on their platforms and lecture ordinary people about fixing the nation when they themselves refuse to roll up their sleeves and actually do the work. Maher painted a vivid picture. It's incredibly easy to sit comfortably in million-dollar mansions, shielded from the struggles of everyday citizens, while making bold proclamations about how the country should change. But as he bluntly pointed out, talk is cheap. Without sacrifice, effort, or real skin in the game, those grand speeches are nothing more than empty noise. He reminded his audience that America, despite its flaws, is still a strong and resilient nation. If progress is truly the goal, the solution doesn't lie in endless complaining, finger-pointing, or performative activism designed to score applause. What the country really needs, Maher argued, is genuine action. Citizens who are ready to step forward, take responsibility, and actually help carry the weight instead of leaving it for someone else.
Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. 59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing.
It might sound like an exaggeration at first, but Bill Maher insists it's a very real phenomenon. For years, Americans, both celebrities and everyday citizens, have loudly declared their intention to pack up and abandon the country over flimsiest of reasons. Instead of staying to solve problems, they fantasize about escape. One of the most popular examples came during the election of Donald Trump. Practically overnight, social media lit up with dramatic announcements. Actors, singers, and ordinary people all claiming they'd moved to Canada as some bold form of protest. But as Maher Riley noted, very few actually followed through. The grand gestures made headlines, yet the promises dissolved into nothing once the cameras moved on. And it hasn't stopped there. Some threaten to leave the country simply because America refuses to embrace the latest trendy philosophy, ideas that often defy common sense and have little grounding in reality. To Maher, These hollow threats reveal more about ego than patriotism. His message is simple but powerful. Real loyalty to your nation isn't about empty theatrics or dramatic ultimatums. True patriotism means staying, facing the challenges head-on, and putting in the work to help make America stronger.
I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave? And I see conservatives in Texas are talking secession again. They have two bumper stickers in that state. America, love it or leave it, and we're leaving it.
Exactly this, Bill Maher argued, highlights the ridiculous double standards so many celebrities and politicians love to parade. On one side, they passionately preach that America should throw its doors wide open, welcoming anyone and everyone who wants come. They paint a glowing picture of the nation as the ultimate land of freedom and opportunity, a place where dreams are supposed to come true. But then, almost in the same breath, those very same voices turn around and declare how ashamed they are of the country. They loudly threaten to pack up and leave whenever things don't go their way politically. It's a contradiction so glaring that it borders on absurd. If America is really so terrible, Maher asked, why encourage others to move here? And if it truly is a land of opportunity, then why constantly dangle ultimatums about abandoning it every election cycle? Maher didn't mince words. This isn't passion. It isn't principle. It's hypocrisy in its purest form. And when the mask slips, their empty rhetoric only exposes what's been true all along, that much of the so-called activism is shallow, performative, and ultimately self-serving.
Just like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean. Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday.
Here's the ironic twist that Maher couldn't resist pointing out. For all the dramatic threats and public declarations, the majority of these celebrities never actually left. They're still here in America, living in comfort, enjoying the very freedoms and luxuries they loudly claim to despise. And deep down, they know the truth. There simply isn't a better place for them. No other country offers the same platform, the same opportunities, or the same level of fame and wealth that America does. So why make those grand statements about fleeing if Donald Trump ever won? Maher says the answer couldn't be more obvious. It was never about genuine conviction or principle. It was all about optics, virtue signaling, and capitalizing on outrage culture to score points with their followers. The over-the-top theatrics might make them look bold in the headlines, but in reality, it's nothing more than a performance. When the cameras stop rolling, these so-called rebels don't pack their bags. They stay put, basking in the very privileges they pretended to reject. And Maher, with his usual sharpness, cut straight through the bluff. This isn't courage, it's theater. And the only thing these celebrities are truly committed to is protecting and polishing their own image.
I guess she flew back from Tajikistan. In 2016, Eddie Griffin said, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa. Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here.
And this, Maher argued, is exactly why it's impossible to take celebrities seriously when they climb on stage to lecture ordinary Americans about politics or morality. Their world looks nothing like ours. They live insulated behind the millions they've earned, tucked away in gated mansions, traveling on private jets, and resting easy with the knowledge that if life in the U.S. ever feels uncomfortable, they could buy themselves a castle in some other corner of the world. Meanwhile, everyday Americans are fighting battles that these celebrities can't even imagine. Families lie awake at night worrying about mortgage payments. Rent swallows up paychecks before the month is half over. Parents stress over whether they'll have enough to keep meals on the table. That's the reality, the daily grind that doesn't disappear with a new Instagram post or a luxury vacation. And that's the stark contrast Maher wanted to highlight. For regular people, politics isn't some fashionable platform for virtue signaling. It's about survival, about policies that directly shape our lives. That's why citizens would rather hear from political leaders who wrestle with those real challenges, instead of pampered celebrities whose greatest struggle is choosing which luxury resort to visit next. Their sermons might play well in the tabloids, but in the real world, their words carry no weight.
There's all the TikToks telling Americans things like,
fucked. I think the new American dream is to leave.
I'm 18 years old and I escaped America.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to escape America. That wall we're always debating isn't to keep you in.
This is the part where Maher couldn't help but laugh, because the irony practically writes itself. Some of these so-called social justice warriors speak as if America is no different from North Korea, as though citizens here are trapped in a cage with no right to leave. The comparison is so outrageous it borders on comedy. Here's the reality Maher laid out. Nobody, absolutely nobody, is trying to immigrate to North Korea. No one is lining up at its borders dreaming of raising families, chasing careers, or building a future there. Quite the opposite. North Korea is a prison state where freedom doesn't exist and people are willing to risk their very lives just for a chance to escape. And then you look at America, the very nation these activists constantly bash, and the picture couldn't be more different. The United States remains the #1 destination for people across the globe. Why? Because despite its flaws, America still offers opportunity, safety, and freedom like nowhere else in the world. That's why Maher's punchline landed so perfectly. If America is truly as awful as critics claim, then why is the rest of the world fighting to get in, not rushing to get out?
The New Republic just ran a story about the vulnerable minorities who want to flee America, including the author, a gay man trapped in the dystopian homophobic hellscape that is New York City. I wonder if he knows that there are 66 countries where just being gay is a crime. Cute story in the news last month. Burundi's president called on his citizens to stone gay people, and not in the good way. Wow, suddenly the don't say gay law doesn't sound all that bad.
When it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, Maher argued the truth is undeniable. America is their safe haven. It's hard to even imagine another place on earth where they could feel more secure, more respected, and more openly accepted than right here in the United States. In America, they enjoy legal protections that shield their rights, representation in politics and media that give them a voice, and the freedom to live authentically in ways that would be unthinkable in large parts of the world. They have platforms to speak, communities to connect with, and laws that guarantee their ability to exist without fear. So Maher asked the obvious question. Why the constant talk about leaving? Where exactly would they go that offers more freedom? Even Europe, which is often praised as more progressive, continues to wrestle with violence, discrimination, and policies that fall short of full equality. The reality, Maher stressed, is clear. For all its imperfections, America still stands as one of the safest and most empowering nations for LGBTQ plus individuals. The very rights and opportunities they cherish are already here. And that makes the idea of leaving less a plan and more a hollow performance.
And Uganda? Oh, they don't just give you a ticket for parking in the rear. You can get the death penalty for it. In China, they have the death penalty for almost 50 crimes. And in 13 countries, atheism is punishable by death, and 61 impose restrictions on women's clothing, so bring a scarf. According to Amnesty International, paramilitary groups killed the government's critics in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, and arbitrary detentions are widespread in Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua. If you're wondering how that's just like no cash bail, it's not.
And this, Maher argued, is exactly why more than half the world dreams of moving to America. From every corner of the globe, people imagine building a new life here because of the freedoms this nation promises. Freedom to speak your mind without fear of punishment. Freedom to choose your own career path, to chase opportunity, and even to reach financial independence if you're willing to work for it. That, Maher reminded his audience, is the essence of the American promise. It's what compels millions to risk everything, sometimes their very lives, just for a chance to set foot on U.S. soil. They see America not as perfect, but as a land where possibility still outweighs despair. Yet here's the irony. Many who are already living in the United States can't seem to recognize the good they have. Instead, they spend their time complaining, bashing the very country that gives them opportunities found nowhere else. Maher compared it to a spoiled rich kid throwing away all his toys simply because his father forgot to buy one more at Christmas. Completely blind to privilege he already enjoys every single day.
In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made famous by some of the world's most famous novels. You think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar? Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house.
Bill Maher's takedown of the so-called woke mob slices straight through the noise, exposing just how shallow and performative much of today's activism has really become. The flashy protests that block highways, burn flags, or vandalize works of art might create shocking images for social media, but they do absolutely nothing to solve real-world problems. Meanwhile, celebrities and politicians preaching from their ivory towers only add fuel to the hypocrisy. They stand on stages, calling America oppressive and broken, all while enjoying the very freedoms, wealth, and opportunities this country uniquely provides. And while they posture, ordinary Americans are simply trying to survive, making mortgage payments, putting food on the table, and fighting traffic on the very roads that activists love to shut down. Maher reminded his audience of a timeless truth. Real change doesn't come from empty theatrics or online clout chasing. It comes from informed conviction, meaningful effort, and concrete action. For all its flaws, America remains a nation that people around the world are desperate to enter, not escape. That fact alone exposes the hollowness of those who bash the country while reaping its benefits. And with that, we bring today's video to a close. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.